Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good evening. My name is Faisal Kassim and welcome to Live Real Talk only on Horizon TV. Tonight we are talking about the effect, long-lasting effect rather, of drought in children. This is something that has been affecting the nation, and the president is on record at least twice confirming that this is the worst drought that has ever hit the country in the last 40 years. And of course, just to further take the point home, according to Relief Web, this is at least the ASAL counties, that is the arid and semi-arid counties, they have been hit by at least 3 droughts in the last 1 decade. And again, for the 3rd time, I repeat, this is the worst drought that has hit the country at least in 40 years. And of course, joining me tonight to discuss this topic, I have Honorable Professor Guyo Jaldesa, the Moyale Member of Parliament, Karibu Sana Mheshimiwa, and of course his counterpart, Honorable Wario, Karibu Sana, all the way from North Horr constituency.
Thank you very much.
Karibuni Sana Mheshimiwa. Thanks so much for making time for us this evening. Of course, remember you can be part of our conversation. You can check us on Facebook and YouTube. We are streaming live. Drop your comments, and of course our WhatsApp number right now on your screens, at the bottom of your screen. You can also send your questions or comments, rather, for as far as this discussion is concerned. Mheshimiwa, karibuni sana. Thank you so much for making time for us this evening. And of course, just straight into it, Mheshimiwa, you are both coming from arid and semi-arid, in the ASAL counties basically, right? And again, as I said in my introduction, this is the 3rd drought in 1 decade that has hit that county. And of course, the worst drought in 40 years. Being members of parliament and being leaders, first of all, paint for us the picture of the situation on the ground. I'm going to start with you, Prof.
Thank you for the invite. The drought that's affecting northern Kenya, and in particular, because I come from there, I will give emphasis to Marsabit County, and most of Moyale constituency, is the worst that people had experienced since 1985 drought. This drought had actually, during this drought, at least 80% of people's livestock have died. And when the livestock have died, the pride of the people from the north lies in the livestock.
Yeah.
And if your livestock are dead, or the ones who are alive are being supported nutritionally, the way you support human beings by giving them food stuff, buy food stuff, sometimes from Ethiopia and some from Kenya, then it actually strains the communities much more. And sometimes people will sacrifice to feed their animals rather than feeding themselves.
Yeah.
And that is the situation we are in. And when the livestock dies, what it means is that their only source of income and their investment for many years had gone down the drain.
What's the malnutrition level? Last time we checked, the figures gave us 53% of the children in the area are malnutritioned. What are the current figures right now, Mheshimiwa?
Because of the poor health system in place, I don't think whether anybody will be able to tell you comfortably that this is the actual percentage. But looking at it on a close note, 50 may be underestimate. And things are getting worse day by day. So I will not be surprised if the children below 5 years have 60–70% malnutrition rate in the region.
Wow, that's pretty sad. Thank you so much. Maybe, Mheshimiwa, you paint for us a picture of North Horr constituency. How is it right now as we're speaking? Because guys are like, we've seen a couple of aids, we've seen a lot of developers, development partners coming in. We've seen the government stepping up its response on drought. So far, how is the situation in North Horr constituency right now as we speak?
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting us to this show. My name is Wario Guyo. I'm the Member of Parliament for North Horr. I'm the first timer. It's my first time to be in Parliament.
Yeah.
And looking at the current scenario of the drought, this drought has been with us for now 3 years. We are in the 6th phase of the drought. That means, rains have not come.
Yeah.
And that's the region that entirely depends, on rain. If the rain is not there, then that means, difficult times for the people and their livelihood. That's livestock. So basically what you are seeing at the moment, since rains have failed, pastoralists have lost almost 70% of their livelihood. Because livelihood is the entirety. Without livestock, there's no life there. Because, there's no much investments in terms of, agriculture or another form of investments by private or by the government. So that's why communities have been largely depending on livestock. So basically looking at the current scenario, because of, successive droughts, it has really taken, quite a number of livestock. And communities are now facing, very severe malnutrition and also food insecurity. Children especially are really facing a lot of challenges because, they really undergo a lot of stress, a lot of other difficulties. They're really exerted or they're being put under, a situation which is not really conducive for them. So basically, looking at the current scenario, we foresee that, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of danger. And looking at also, the projection or the prediction by, the
weatherman,
like weather, like
meteorology department,
like IGAD, the next rains will not be there again. The that is March, April rains of 2023. So that's already, gives a worrying situation for the people in the arid and semi-arid lands of Kenya. But
Mheshimiwa, this is not the first time we're having this situation. I mean, for the past 3 years, you said we've had drought, right? For 2020, 2021, and now 2022, right? 2019, things were not that bad. But again, 2018, we had drought. No matter how little it was. 2016, there was drought. 2014, 2010, all these years, we've had drought, especially in the northern and northeastern region. This is not the first time. So why are we still having this situation right now? You're a leader right now, so I'm just going to pose this question to you.
The problem why we're having this, this big challenge at the moment is because look at 2011, what happened. Unfortunately, pastoralist communities in arid and semi-arid lands never recovered from the effects of 2011 drought. So before they recover, another drought comes. So another one came. It hit them again. So basically, communities never get an opportunity to really bounce back to where they were before 2011. So basically, successive droughts have been hitting them, and now, in fact, their situation is really deteriorating.
Subsequently, Prof, you can agree with me that we've had rains as well, and we've had cases of droughts, especially in the northeastern area. We've had when Budalangi was hit, at the same time Garissa was hit, Mandera was hit at the same time. So we've also had drought. For as much as we've had drought, we've also had floods as well at the same time, right? So for as much as it's justified to say we've never bounced back from that, again, we've also had floods. How do you balance that? We've not capitalized on the floods, the water that came?
Actually, sometimes you wonder whether the successive governments have taken life in the north serious. In that, of course, when there is a dry season like this, dry spell, the vegetation cover is exhausted, is cleared. So the place has no vegetation cover. And any little rain cannot be stopped by any sort of form of vegetation. And that is the reason why we have the flash floods every time. There's nothing to stop the water from flowing. But if this government, through its agencies, decide to harness this water, trap this water, tap them, hold them somewhere, so that it doesn't just flow and goes, I don't know, to Indian Ocean or to wherever it goes. This drought, this water will be held somewhere in a form of a dam, used for irrigation, used for pasture, and it will prevent this destruction caused by this water. At times, the rain may fall somewhere in Ethiopian islands, and it floods in the lowlands. Because our area has no vegetation, there's no measures that we are put in place.
Dam to kind of harness
this water. And therefore, it causes actually more and more suffering. And because the water just flows down, and it goes to waste. So after 1 week, when there's sunshine, then we have no water. And if the water was not enough to grow grass, it's not enough to produce the shrubs to have the leaves and anything else to make it palatable to the livestock.
Okay.
So what we are saying, the government needs to realize that, yes, this is something that you can prevent. If you move from, say, Marsabit through to Moyale, you will find many areas with large seasonal rivers that floods every season. If you can only find ways of tapping
that water,
and use it, and they are all in strategic places, use this water, and people will settle around that water area, then so that they will not be crowding around one point where there is water source. Or at times, what has been happening to our people is that they have been relying on a borehole, it breaks down, and there's like an emergency evacuation for the livestock and the people. So these animals, which are already weak, now they are being evacuated from that area to another.
Where there is maybe another source of water.
Another source of water, which might be a few 20 tens of kilometers away. Then what happens is that they actually die on the way. You make their suffering more prominent.
Thank you so much for painting the picture. Maybe, Mheshimiwa Guyo, you can just tap into that. And as you're answering that, maybe you give us, of course, another situation. We saw the government, especially the last weekend, the president and many other government officials leading response on this drought. Has that reached and affected your people, as you're adding to that question?
Just to add on what Prof said, it is true that, when it rains, there's been a lot of water that goes into West. Unfortunately, the government has not been very proactive, truly harness water and use it for, meaningful interventions, just to reduce the impact of the future droughts. So one major thing is, even the pattern of rain has changed. Just look at what happened in Moyale the other day. It was just last week. People are in the middle of drought. The skies are clear. There are no signs of rains. And then just overnight, within a very short period, you see, water coming from wherever. And then sweeping the whole thing, destroying infrastructure. This sweeping all the livestock.
Even some
animals were even
including
drawn.
Vehicles.
So basically, even the pattern has changed just because the rains normally start, let's say, in October, and then it extends all the way to around November.
October,
but
November,
now,
December,
a rain which is supposed to come, over a period of 2-3 weeks or even a month, falls on one day. And then it destroys everything, and then it stops. Like, what happened in February this year in North Horr? February is usually the most dry and the hottest month in the year, especially in the Asal counties. So what happened? No one was really expecting rain at that particular time. So early morning, a heavy shower came. It killed over 100,000 sheep and goats. People were rendered destitute. They lost all their livelihood. And the following day, the skies were clear. No one was
prepared. It's as if nothing happened.
It's as if nothing happened. We only saw, dead livestock. Thousands of them spread on a very long, stretch of land. So basically, this, people do not have even time to plan. So the best will be, don't wait for rains to come. It will be good, to a time like this, then the government now can do such investments. Build such big dams, and it can be used for, many other purposes, for livestock, for domestic, and it can also be used for irrigation. So basically, it's the pattern which has also changed. The rains are also coming heavier. It also goes for a longer period. Drought comes, and then it comes at a time when people are not really prepared for the rains. So that is why much investments have not been done. So unfortunate thing is our government is not also proactive. They are not learning from this vicious cycle of the drought, and will have reduced the impact of this drought.
Mheshimiwa, both you and Prof here, you've mentioned about the government, right? And you are leaders, right? Serving in the same government, so to speak, right? So when you're saying about when you're talking about the government, who exactly are we talking about here? Because even the people down there, you can imagine your electorates, when they're saying the government, you're also including the same bandwagon.
In fact, you know, both of us, we are first-timers.
Yes.
We're the first time in Parliament.
Yeah.
The first thing that we did was even to meet with the President. We told him we need to avoid this issue of relief all, year in, year out. If you look at, let's say, the arable land in Marsabit County, as big as it is, there are pockets. If you combine all this, it could be the size of central Kenya. So we told him we don't want relief all the time. There's a lot of potential in northern Kenya. So instead of giving us relief every year and flagging, you know, from Nairobi, while the cost, let's say, if a bag costs, let's say, 7,000 here, by the time it reaches Ileret or Godoma in Moyale, you know, the cost has gone to 25,000.
Yeah.
So basically, it's not really making sense. So just look at what has happened in other countries like Egypt. Why are we not learning from Libya, Israel? Why are we not learning from these places? We even met with the CEO of National Irrigation Board. We told him we need big dams, and the time to do those dams are now. Don't wait for rains.
What was the response?
Big dams.
And what was the response of the CEO?
It was good. In fact, the response was good, and the CEO told us that, you know, they're already designing big dams, you know, both in North Horr and also in Moyale, and he said he can also share the plan with us. But we told him, you know, time is of essence.
That's what I wanted to ask. That was my follow-up question. Do you have timelines for these things?
Time is
Did
of
they
essence.
give you timelines?
Not really.
You know, usually the government keeps on saying when funds are available. So when somebody tells you when funds are available, it's like the timeline is not there.
It's up
yes, the idea is there. The idea is very good and it's there. They have accepted that we need to do this. Actually, it's like they have realized, the people, the authorities concerned. I mean, when you said the government, the government is a government in Kenya.
Yes, the national government.
Yes, the national government. This national government is the one that makes supposed to bring development to the areas. And when they bring development, what are the development things that they will bring to the area? It's something to save the lives of people. It's something to make the lives conducive for those people. And one of the things that will make them life conducive is by making these water resources available throughout the year.
Okay.
For example,
Prof.
Nairobi water, we are getting our supplies from the Adhes. Through.
Actually, I have 3 sources of water. There's one from Adhe, there's another from central Kenya, there's one that comes through Makueni as well.
So, if this has provided water to Nairobi, how much does it cost for us to say, make a positive move and say, we want to make water available to the people of the north? It's a possibility, it's something which can be done. Even Nairobi water was an investment by the government, and it is serving the people. We are saying this may not be enough, and as the population increases, then we want to look for alternative source. So all that we are saying is, yes, these people are taxpayers.
Just like any other Kenyan?
Like any other Kenyan.
And they deserve the development.
And they deserve those things. It's not a favor. And all that we are saying is, please do the needful.
Thank you so much, Mr. I'm going to ask you to hold it on that point because it's that time when you need to pay our bills. Just 1 minute, we need to play these advertisements, and I'm asking you to keep it there because guess what? The past 2 weeks, we've had a headline that people, or rather parents, in some of these areas have resorted to feed their children bang and alcohol. And these Washimios that you're seeing in the studio, some of them, the children that are being fed an alcohol, come from their constituencies. Let's get to know more about that story and what are some of those effects, because everybody's talking about livestock, lives, but again, children are being forgotten in this whole process. This and much more after the break.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation. Quote of the day.
Imam Malik bin Anas said, I am but a man. I make mistakes sometimes, and I am correct sometimes. So examine my opinions and accept anything that agrees with the book and sunnah, and leave anything that does not agree with the book and sunnah.
Verse of the day.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
المال والبنون زينة الحياة الدنيا والباقيات الصالحات خير عند ربك ثوابا وخير أملا.
قال تعالى في محكم تنزيله بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Ninasaha kutoka pwani.
هذا الدين قال الله قال الرسول قال الصحابة هم أولو العرفان. انتهى.
Ili kuongoza kwenye njia iliyonyoka.
Sikizeni hadithi hii ya Mtume alayhi salatu wasalam.
Hakuna atakayeweza kumfungia mtu mlango ambaye Mwenyezi Mungu aliyemfungulia.
Kuimarisha imani yako.
Thabbit qulubana ala dinik wa ala ta'atik.
Ungana na mashekh wetu kutoka pwani kwenye mimbar.
Mimbar zinamwakilisha Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Ni Jumamosi na wakati saa 3 usiku katika Horizon TV, runinga uipendayo. Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back and thank you so much for keeping it live. Real Talk. My name is Faisal Kassim and joining me I have Shimiwa's and the ground Honorable Guyo from North constituency and Professor Jaldesa from Moyale constituency. Thanks so much, Shimiwa, once again for joining us this evening. Shimiwa, children are being fed alcohol and bang in this destitute times, and to the best of my knowledge, your constituencies are there are some of those victims, right? Maybe you start with you, Honorable Wario. You just start to tell us what exactly is happening on the ground with regards to children being fed alcohol and bang.
You know, if you've not been there, if you've not seen for yourself, you will think that this is a hoax. The issue of children fed on alcohol, on changa.
No way.
I witnessed myself, and I have photos, hundreds of them in my phone here. Because before I joined politics, I used to work for a non-governmental organization, where we were providing relief to the people. So basically, what happens is these kids, the kids of 2, 3, 4 years, when parents have nothing to give them, they keep on crying the whole night. So just to sedate them, just to force sleep on them, parents give them changa, give them local brew. So once they take it, they sleep for almost 14 hours. Up to the following day around 10. Once they woke up, that thing is still in them and they still have hangover. Yeah. They'll play for a few hours and then once sunset again, they start crying. The session continues. I've seen it, I witnessed myself. And that's the center where early this year, and in an MSF feeding center, we lost 11 children. 11 children is documented. It was even in the papers in the media in this country. So basically, that's a reality. It's happening now, and it has been going on for quite some time. So basically, that issue is a reality. Our children are really in a pathetic situation.
And then we ask them what's the reason, why would they resort to feeding them alcohol? That money that's being spent on maybe changa and all those, and the local brews.
You know what?
could be channeled into getting maybe a food, water, anything.
You know what happens? If the government, let's say government comes and provide them with some relief, what they get is few kgs of maize, like 2 kg or even a kg per family. And probably that family has, let's say, 5, 6, 7, up to 10 children. And in that community, water is for free because they are the shore of the lake. They don't buy water. Unlike other places where water is literally gold, they cannot get it. So they just ferment the little maize they get from the government or from non-state actors in terms of relief, and water is for free. They ferment and then they prepare it. So they don't go into any cost because they do not have even money or cash to buy it. So basically, no investment literally.
And I think when they're giving these things, it's a substitute for food. It's not that they want the children to be drunk with alcohol. It's just that it's like this woman who was reported from Turkana who's boiling stones just to deceive them that they are being given food or the food is being cooked and therefore they be patient. So even these ones, when they're giving this changa and the local brew, it's just that is the alternative, the only source of food stuff that they have, and makes the children, because they don't have anything else to give them, is to make them sleep. So this situation is bad. The situation is actually bad. And that's why we are saying, as MPs from this area, how do we amplify our voice and be heard across the country so that people who have sympathy can actually sympathize, not to empathize, but to sympathize with people and see whichever way they can chip in to help these people get to some food stuff. So you'll wonder what's wrong with them, why are they giving changa? But that's what they have. That's the food they have. And probably that's the food that after fermenting that maize is still edible. They have changa and they have the whatever is left from the maize. So this is something that people from outside who feed 3 meals a day, like in Nairobi, will not be able to appreciate what people are talking about. But these are realities in life.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm listening to that story. I'm still shocked. I still can't wrap my head around it, that kids are actually being fed changa. And these kids, let me assume they're not going to school.
They're not going to school.
Of course, what is school when you have not had free meals for the last, say, 48 hours?
And education in that area has literally stalled.
It has literally stalled because even if you take your child to school, they will not even get food there. That is why, in the pastoral areas, when the school feeding program, the enrollment usually goes up. When there's no food, it goes down again. So they go back to herding life. So basically, in such a situation, literally schools have really been affected.
In the next few weeks, you're going to have KCP and KCC examination. These people are expected to graduate and go to the next phase of education. And after that, they're expected to enter into the job market. And these people are likely or are expected to take back developments into their area.
I will say this.
So what happens now in terms of this generation of these children who have missed schools or have been missing schools?
Mheshimiwa will add, but people who have lived in that kind of environment, you don't expect them to proceed to the next level of education. So what it means is that this is a wasted generation. It's a cohort that will not go forward to the next level of education. And if this happens year in, year out, in a place which is a bit better off than that, they may be border riders and other things. But otherwise, they will just be young boys in the villages doing nothing. And because they can't go to school. After all, even if they go to school, which school will they attend? The parents are poor. The livestock, the livelihood is gone. If they had these people, if there was rain and they had livestock, They will be able to sell these animals and pay school fees and go to school. Now, school is a big luxury for people who are struggling to feed themselves. These are things I think people may not understand, but these are realities in life.
Wow. Mosh, maybe you can just...
Yeah, in fact, looking at what's happening at the moment, it has been happening. Although now we are talking about it, in this region, it has been something which has been there, for over a decade, whereby in every generation we lose, quite a number, because they could not pursue their education due to lack of, school fees, due to other school needs, because their family's background is really not really supporting them to continue with their education. So basically, if a family have lost their generational wealth, a generation that they have passed, they got it from their descendants and descendants from grandfathers. So what do we expect? So education is basically a luxury. If someone wakes up in the morning and you could not even get black tea, forget about the 3 course.
Yeah.
And that is why already in northern Kenya, or especially in Marsabit, we are seeing level of crime going up. In those small villages, the far-flung areas, you see level of crime now. Shops are being broken into, or livestock are being stolen from just your neighbors, and that is heard of in our region. Normally, under normal circumstances, before all these challenges, you can leave your $100 million here, and then no one will touch it. The following day you come, you will still collect your $100,000. But now, it's not like that. The level of crime, the level of drugs, people are taking lots of changa, miraa, bang, especially bang has become a lucrative business in that region. Just because, young children or students that drop out of school, and they could not, do another meaningful business, so they are now indulged in drug taking, they are involved in crimes, they are involved in, prostitution, and all this.
So the general societal structure is broken?
Yes, it's broken.
Completely.
Even the younger girls, those who have dropped out of school, parents have nothing to give them. So they are sent to town so that they are able to do casual work. Just imagine a girl of 14, 15 years, you sent to town, to people whom you do not know. So what do you think is going to happen to those young girls? So basically, the entire system has really broken. The social life has really collapsed. So a situation as bad as that, and it's going to deepen further if, rehabilitation centers are not really put into place. Livelihood, the rehabilitation of the communities is not really done. So the future of the people is really bleak.
Mheshimiwa, beyond the government, both of you, I'm sure you have connections in the NGO sector and the other development actors. From your respective offices, what is the plan? I'm going to start with you, Professor. What is the plan? Because yes, we can put the government to task, but again, at the end of the day, the government can only do so much. The government can only go to a particular extent. And to say but the least, if anything, the government knows the situation, right? Because they govern us through their governance structures, up to the chiefs and the DUs and all that. So they govern us, so they know these things. Right? But again, at the end of the day, they can only do so much. You are leaders, successful in your careers. You've done other things before being members of parliament. So over and above what the government can do, Prof, with your connection, what is the plan for Moyale?
Excellent. This is the best question. Now, I'll start by this. When you ask people what have they heard about Marsabit County, before us, one of the major things that comes out on anybody's mind is tribal clashes, tribal fighting, killings, and the rest of the things.
Yeah, cattle rustling and all that.
All that kind of nonsense. I'm happy to state on this national TV that since we came in August, and the way we have come together, we have always been together. And that history of people fighting is not gone. We have talked to our people. You're assuring
us that issue...
That's what I'm saying on a national TV.
It won't happen again?
It will not happen. I know that people may not be happy that we have peace and may want to incite, but they will not have a lot of strength as they used to have. I think that's the first thing that we have done. a good relationship between the two of us and a good relationship between our two communities. And with this, the little resources that's available, be it water, be it pasture, we are sharing them equally from whichever side. This is the first thing that we have done as individuals. And we are not beating the drum to be heard, to be appreciated, to be recognized. But what have we done? We have made sure that our two communities that have been known over the years to be fighting will not fight. That's the first thing that we have done. What else have we done? As much as we are appealing to the government and going to different government offices for support, we are also we are interacting with other non-governmental organizations and other donor agencies. We have actually visited several embassies in Nairobi. And all that we are saying is we are losing lives, and with these lives needs to be saved. So what are we, even our coming here is a way of amplifying our voice to be heard by the Kenyan people and any other person who is going to hear that yes, we come and represent these people. The poor, desperate people, to the extent that people are feeding their children on this. We are representing people whose generations are going down the drain because of poverty. And we are asking people, be it the government agencies or non-government organizations or anybody else, that yes, we are doing this. We are appealing to people to support us. And that's one thing that we have done. We had approached Mheshimiwa Ruben Kigame, the presidential aspirant during the last election. Yeah. And we had approached him to give us leadership in advocating for this thing. And he has humbly accepted to take the lead. And we have started an initiative called Okoa Maisha, through which we are trying to raise for foodstuff, dry foodstuff, and money from the country. People are well endowed. Something has started chipping in. We have started flowing in. And we are not selfish to say that we are begging or requesting things for Marsabit. There are many other areas in the northern part of this country who are having the same problems, or even sometimes worse. And all that we are saying, through Ruben Kigame, bring the attentions of the country to the plight of the people in the north and other areas which are highly affected, badly affected by this drought, so that we can save lives. And that's our intention. Let us save life. And that's what we are doing. There's no single individual who has enough money to even feed 10 houses. But when we all come together and chip in small bits here and there, we'll be able to, the hababa ujaza kibaba.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll be chipping in small from here, another one from there, another small thing from there. And at the end of the day, we'll have enough to save life of a few people.
Okoa Maisha project.
Okoa Maisha project.
Thank you. Beautiful. Mheshimiwa, maybe we can just add in, because I'm asking the same question. Beyond the government, as a leader, and over and above, just to add on what Prof has said, what are you doing in your personal capacity? What have you done besides what Prof has already mentioned?
I think, for us to be able to change and transform the future of our people, it requires a collective responsibility. The government, local leaders, communities themselves, donors, we all have responsibility. So basically what we have done, just to transform and also better the life of the people, is to invest in education. Because we strongly feel that education is the most effective anti-poverty strategy. If people go to school, they get educated, they get exposed, they get the skills and knowledge. We strongly feel that they're able to support themselves, support and also give back to their communities. So basically, in terms of investing in education, we've really done a lot. by, even building schools, by also supporting scholarship assistance for, students from very poor families, looking at, their background. So that's what we have done so far. In this initiative, we're also, going extra miles, because normally what happens when the drought comes, people are seen on the screens of TVs or in the media are people from the north. People from Marsabit, Turkana, Garissa, Mandera, blah, blah. So what we said, we've appeared in these screens 101 times, always crying for food, for relief and all this. But, on the other side of the country, just look at what's happening in Narok, what's happening, in the Great Rift.
It's raining.
People are harvesting. Yeah. There's plenty of food.
Until the county is actually a truck full of cabbages.
And food is even given back to the livestock. I've seen it for myself. So basically we said, since Kenya is a one community, let's get ambassador of hope from a region with abundant harvest to talk on behalf of the people who are suffering, who are really facing this disaster. So it was on that basis that, we said we need to get some from the north, and fortunately, and also we thank him for taking the initiative and also accepting him to be ambassador of hope. Ruben Kigame and his team, they're already doing a lot in terms of really collecting food for the people in the north where he has never been. So basically that's an initiative which both of us started. And later we said, let's not be selfish. We expanded the basket, where we invited all the pastoralist parliamentary group to be part of this initiative. And this initiative was launched last week officially, and we have a pay bill number 188668. 188-668.
Maybe you say you can capture that and just play it on the screen.
And account number is Okoa Maisha.
Okoa Maisha.
188-668.
188-668.
And the account is Okoa Maisha. So we also appeal to Kenyans to be able to contribute through this pay bill number. You can also, contribute food, whatever you can, so that we're able to save these communities. So basically one thing which we've also initiated after we were elected, as I've already said, we also went to the president. We told him we need big dams. This idea of relief all the time, it's not really sustainable. It's also very expensive. That's why we also went to CEO, National Irrigation Board. Yeah. We told him, we even identified, the spots where these dams are really required. Because in this country, we really require, massive irrigation projects like Galana Kulalu. Yeah. So if, let's say, each county in this country have similar projects and they're well managed, unlike, Galana Kulalu, I think the issue of food security, we are talking...
It will be something of the past.
It will be something of the past.
Yeah.
So basically, those are the initiatives that we really put in place. We are trying to see, how our communities, in a smaller way, even at the household level, are able to, produce their own subsistence food. So, let's say places like in Sololo, in Moyale, in Kalacha, in Eluboro Magado, in Turbi, we see people now growing some vegetables within their own homesteads. So basically, this thing is doable. It only requires, some little capacity building, some, some connections and linkages. Once that is done, I think we'll be able to make some steps just to reduce, the persistent food insecurity in this region.
There's a whole drought intervention agency led by the Office of the Deputy President. Are you guys represented, any chance, maybe members of parliament from the north, the pastoralist community? Are you represented in that?
Unfortunately,
we've seen governors there actually.
Yeah, unfortunately, that seems to have been a partnership between the national government, especially the Office of the Provincial Administration, and the Office of the County Governors, where all the MPs and the senators are kind of given a wide berth. Unfortunately, I don't know why they thought so, but the MPs and the senators are not involved in that thing. Even when they listed the people to be included, MPs and senators are said to be optional membership.
Wow.
So,
have you raised the concerns with the respective leadership?
The MPs collectively did. The MPs collectively did, but I'm not aware of anything that came out of it. And, because people are suffering, if that can bring food to the people, we have no reason to interfere.
I'll look for Governor Jir, a good friend. I'll look for him, inshallah, task him here next week, inshallah, to try and talk to him about that issue, because he's the deputy chair of the Council of Governors, right? I'm going to invite him over, inshallah, and of course I know he's part of the task force, so I'm going to invite him over and task him about that issue. I'll personally give you the feedback, right? Mosh, maybe I start with you, Honorable Wario, for your parting shot as you're wrapping up this show tonight.
First, I would like to tell my people of Marsabit County. They've seen what we have done so far with Professor. Immediately we were elected, we sat together and we said, what's good for our people? And then we said, number 1 is peace. Number 2, peace. Number 3, peace. Number 100, peace. Nothing more. If you look at what's happening in Marsabit, our communities are able to open up to each other. They're able to come to each other. For the last 4.5 years, you know, Marsabit literally was a no-go zone.
It's a war zone. Yeah.
And literally, communities could not interact. They could not share resources. And, you know, the longest curfew was in Marsabit, which ran for almost a year, until it was lifted after the elections. So we said, what's really good for our people, and these are people who have really interacted, they have lived together, you know, they own this land together, they own everything in that county together. Even if, you know, crossing to Ethiopia with their livestock, they do together. So, but, you know, due to some selfish interests, people have made to collide. So we said, we are not interested in those interests. Our interest is for our communities to live together harmoniously and ensure that, you know, they are able to traverse the vast region and to able to make the available opportunities within those regions. So basically, my appeal to my people in the north and all the pastoralist communities in this country is maintain peace. Peace is the way to go. Guns will not help us. It will just finish us. It will just marginalize us. It's going to isolate us further from other parts of the country and the world. So peace is number 1. Secondly, I want to appeal to Kenyans who are watching us on different medias and also on this TV. Our people in the north are suffering. People have already started dying. We are not exaggerating this story. It's a reality. People have died. Their livelihood have been severely eroded. Looking at the scenario, the future of pastoralism is really bleak. But what we need to do is to save our people. Let's contribute to this pay bill number. We've already said 188-668. Account is Okoa Maisha. Let's join hands in supporting these communities who are really suffering. Children are not going to school. If aid is not provided immediately, most of the children candidates in northern Kenya will not sit for the examinations. Let's enable them sit for the examinations. Let them see their future through education. And that is the only way, you know, we will try to save these people. Thank you.
Interesting. Wow. Beautiful message. Prof, your parting shot tonight.
My parting shot, I think the message which we have given for the Okoa Maisha initiative is that there's nothing little. If you can give 50 shillings, it will still get into the account. So people should not look for big things unless you actually can afford big things. Give us whatever you can to save life. On the matter of education, and especially the KCPE and the KCSE exam, which is coming, I don't know about the Standard 6 CBC exam, but when the parents have moved away or they are desperate, what do you expect of the children? At worst, or at best, these children will be left at other family or relatives' home to continue with the schooling, whereas the parents will walk around looking for, fending for the unavailable pasture. And of course, that will definitely lead to school poor performance, and the transition rate will be
equally poor.
Equally poor.
Yeah.
What we'll request is for people in Kenya, generally, irrespective of their political persuasion, to help these people. And finally, Northern Kenya is generally known for one thing: conflicts. And we are appealing to our people, wherever they are, to embrace peace and peace initiatives. There's nobody who will bring peace to the community except the communities themselves. So we'll ask the people, wherever they are, to have some social conflict resolution mechanism other than going to war. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Professor. And of course, nothing more to add, especially after hearing the two wise gentlemen in the studio. Thanks so much, Mheshimiwa, Honorable Wario. Thanks so much, Prof. Honorable Jaldesa, for making time for us this evening and for your wise words. Thank you, thank you, thanks so much. May God bless you. And of course, tuko pamoja in that. And of course, from me and the entire Horizon team that made this possible, I say thank you so much, and please contribute to Okoa Maisha. Paybill number again? 188-6668. 188-668. That is the paybill number. Account number is Okoa Maisha. I'm going to do that immediately I leave the studio, and I hope you do that as well. Thank you so much. My name is Faisal Kassim, and this has been the live Real Talk only on Horizon TV. See you next week, same place, same time. Assalamu alaikum. Thanks so much, Prof.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
قال تعالى في محكم تنزيله بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Inasaha kutoka pwani.
هذا الدين قال الله قال الرسول قال الصحابة هم أولو العرفان. انتهى.
Ili kuongoza kwenye njia iliyonyoka.
Sikizeni hadithi hii ya Mtume alayhi salatu wasalam.
Hakuna atakayeweza kumfungia mtu mlango ambaye Mwenyezi Mungu aliyemfungulia.
Kuimarisha imani yako.
ثبت قلوبنا على دينك وعلى طاعتك.
Ungana na mashekh wetu kutoka pwani kwenye mimbar.
Mimbar zinamwakilisha Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Ni Jumamosi na wakati saa 3 usiku katika